Right, Gemma, I've got a challenge for you.
Right.
I want you to speak for 1 minute, and I'm going to give you 2 words to speak about. Okay? First word is disciple, and the second word is giving.
Okay. Disciples are people who give. Disciples are people who understand that Jesus gave everything. He gave himself for us. And so it's natural for disciples of Jesus to be thankful and to be givers, to give not only of their finances but of their very selves, their time, their energy, their gifts, as a loving response to what God's given them.
Thank you. You're lucky for you, I've got an internal clock and I know that was exactly 1 minute, so well done.
Thank you. Okay, here's my challenge for you.
Okay.
Why give to St. Peter's?
Okay, thank you for your challenge, Gemma. I think I'd have possibly 2 answers, 2 parts of the answer to that. The first would be that we are seeking as a church to be those, to share God's love with others, and so in giving to St. Peter's, we would intend that everything that you give would be about loving other people. It might be whether it's through West Porch Cafe or Tuesday Club or all the junior church groups we do, or caring for people with bereavement care, or helping a displaced family come and live in Owl, and all kinds of ways we look to love other people. Secondly, I think my answer would be that it's about being God's family. So if people feel they belong to St. Peter's and they're part of the St. Peter's Church family, then we'd ask them if they could contribute to the family expenses and what it costs to be St. Peter's Church. And if you look at our annual budget, then belonging to St. Peter's and being St. Peter's Church costs us about £4,300 a week.
So I was chatting with someone recently at St. Peter's and they were asking, where does all the money come from? Does St. Peter's get money from the government or centrally from the Church of England?
No, all that we raise, nearly all we raise, £4,300 a week, comes from the church family at St. Peter's. And so one thing I guess both of us want to say is a big thank you to everybody who gives. We don't get any money from the government, we don't get any money from the Church of England. In fact, quite rightly, we pay money to the Church of England, about £120,000 each year. That's called our parish share. And that's the way that the Church of England supports us, having 3 clergy with houses and all the rest of it. And that's our contribution to that. So we pay to the Church of England. We do try to get some money for projects. If we've mending things on the tower or the clock or the bells, we'll look to raise that money from grants if we can. And that's always very useful to be able to do that. And the reason for that is because we want all the money that people give to St. Peter's to be about giving to people whom God loves.
So I can see when I look at our church accounts that we've got some reserves, and a question people might be asking is, well, why give to St. Peter's if we've got reserves in the bank? Okay,
yeah, that's a good question. We're a charity and the PCC of St. Peter's are trustees, and the Charity Commission advises very strongly that we have a reserves policy and have some money in reserves so that we can continue doing the work that we're doing if there were financial downturn or hardship. And so the PCC has a reserves policy, and we have 3 months worth of expenditure in our reserves. And it's really important that we do that because we employ people, we have responsibilities, we need to make sure that we care for people well, and so it's important that we have reserves.
So I think all through the Bible there are some really good principles about giving. The important thing being that we give in response to what God's already given us. I think it's a really good discipline to give regularly and in a committed way. The Bible talks a lot about setting aside a proportion of our income and giving it to God, back to God. And the Bible talks about tithing, giving 10% of our income. The Church of England talks about giving 10% of your income, but giving 5% to your local church and 5% to other charities. So that might be a helpful benchmark for people as they think about their own giving.
So finally, I'd simply like to say a huge thank you for all that everybody gives in so many different ways, not only financially but in so many other ways too. A huge thank you.